Coach back, we'll kind of give an opening statement and go through the class. Then we'll go through a Q&A. And when you do have questions for Coach when you do the Q&A, just raise your hand and we'll bring the mic around just so we got a stream going so we can have folks at home watching get to your questions. So, Coach Bass.
All right. This was an excellent day. Our coaching staff, everybody that touches our program did a phenomenal job in the whole recruiting process. This goes over time. Adam Talyama and Brad Forsyth, who head up our recruiting area with a lot of other people in that field, have done a phenomenal job. Darren Cheveriti, the recruiting coordinator, they've all excellent. All our coaches working tirelessly, and it's been a great job by our staff and by everybody involved. So, a couple things real quick. We had 12 young men this January. They're already in workouts. They're already going to be in spring practice, going to be summer and fall. I'm going to go over 9 of those guys. 2 of them we signed last year, what we call gray shirts. They were offensive linemen. Chance Lytle had gotten a torn labrum, so he got it fixed, and then he's here now. He's 6'7", 295 pounds, an offensive tackle. We're really excited about what he's been doing in workouts. And then the other young man was Kobe Purcell. The reason we gray shirted Kobe Purcell, he was 16 years old. He would have turned 17 in September. So we felt like giving him a little bit of time. Now he's 17. Now he'll turn 18 this next September. He's 6'4", about 300 pounds, athletic guard that we're really excited about. And then Evan White is back on our football team, who I felt like would have been a starter last year at safety for us. He's an excellent athlete, and he's 6'2", he's 205 pounds, and more mature, and he's back here working hard. So those are 3 young men that you don't really know about that are in our fold that'll be great for fall and spring practice. Then we have 9 others that we got in. The reason we're able to do that, academically, our academic staff does a phenomenal job. Our coaches do a great job with our young men. We have them all on a 3.5-year track to graduate. So we have a lot of young men, as we've been in this program, that were able to graduate this past December. So that opens up spots. If everything goes like we think, next year we'll have 10 to 11 other open spots, and every year I would like to fill those, because you build your football team in the winter, the spring, and the summer. Those guys have a lot better. That's your team. The guys that we sign that are coming in, yes, some of them will help us. But if you have guys that are invested and been here and ready to roll, they can walk out there ready to play next fall. So what I'll do is I'll start with the young men that are here in January right now. The first guy I'll start with is Jalen Jackson, wide receiver from Cedar Hill. Fast, athletic, very quick young man. The great thing about Jalen that I love, besides all his athletic ability, is his big smile. You guys will fall in love with this young man and his smile and his enthusiasm. It's just contagious. He went to Cedar Hill High School, which is an excellent program there in Texas. And we did a great job recruiting him, and we're really proud of Jalen. He's in here working hard now and doing great. The next young man is Isaiah Lewis. Isaiah is was a tailback in high school. We'll play him at safety for us here. He has great athletic ability. He reminds me a little bit of Cheeto coming out a little bit, but more of a safety area, physical guy. He's 5'11 and a half. He's close to 200 pounds. And so we're excited about what he does. He's from Granite Bay area, where we have Dylan Keeney from also. So that is a good get for us. And Cheverini recruited Jalen, and Isaiah Lewis was recruited by Clayton Adams. Tyler Lytle is a quarterback from Servite High School. We were looking for a great quarterback. We felt like we found a great quarterback, but we were also looking for a quarterback that could come in January. We have 3 quarterbacks on scholarship now in the spring practice. So we'll be able to get all 3 of those guys prepared to compete for the job and be ready for next fall. I think it's important that you have 3 guys that can play. I feel good about those guys, and we're excited about Tyler. He's big. He has an excellent arm. He can move in the pocket, and we're really excited about how Tyler's doing. His roommate is Jacob Moretti. Jacob is a young man here in the state of Colorado that everybody knows about. Jacob's in school, working hard. Jacob was a young man that was committed to Ohio State for a long time. He called us after the season was over and was saying, hey, I'd rather stay home. And of course I said, yes, I would like you to stay home. I think it was one of those things, honestly, where we did an excellent job recruiting him, but he could not see in his mind that we would be a national contender. And then when we had the year we had, he said, if I have this choice, I could stay home and play at home at the University of Colorado for a national contending team, and I can now make this ride with all of them, that's what I'd like to do. So we were excited to get him out of Pomona High School from there. So Jacob Moretti is excited about having him here. Another young man, Dante Sparaco, who's from the state of Colorado, but ended up going to IMG and graduated, came back here. Dante's a young man that I first saw was going in between his 9th and 10th grade year. I'll never forget it. He was a quarterback at Glenwood Springs, and then he kind of kept growing and ended up coming over to Cherry Creek and ended up being a tight end, defensive end, just big athlete. Then he ended up going to IMG. We kept recruiting him. He committed to us. We're really excited about having him. He is a guy that we're going to play at outside linebacker this spring. We're going to play at tight end. We'll play at defensive end. We're just got to figure out where we fit, and he has the ability to play all of those, and we'll see what works out best for him. But really excited about having Dante here and ready to go. The other young man is a little guy. His name's Javier Edwards. He's 6'3", about 350. He's a nose tackle that we got from Blinn Junior College. Phenomenal player. Really helps us inside it. We want to be able to have a two-gap nose like Josh was. We have some guys on campus that can do it also, but you can't just have one guy. We want a couple guys. We were able to convince Javier to come. He had a lot of people wanting him. And he ended up loving Boulder. He ended up loving what we do defensively. It was a lot of fun recruiting Javier from Blinn. He's in school now, working out. I had all these guys over to the house Monday night, to eat. So it was a lot of fun spending time with them. And they like my wife's banana pudding. I know that. The next guy would be Shamar Hamilton. Shamar is an outside linebacker, 6'5", about 235, can really run from junior college in Miami. He is in school here now, has a great smile. He's loving being here without all the crowded area he was telling me and his fast pace of Miami. He's loving Boulder, enjoying it, and has been working extremely hard in the weight room. The next guy is Chris Mulumba. He's 6'4", 285, very athletic, powerful defensive end for us. He's a similar story to Stefan Nimbot. He has been here for 2.5 years and hasn't been home. He's excited about it. He didn't play football really till he got over here. He's a judo guy, has great balance, great athleticism, and we just kept recruiting him. And it worked out that we were able to get him here. I feel like he'll really help us at our defensive end. He'll be powerful. He'll be strong. Looking forward to watching him play this spring. Dante Wigley is a corner that we signed out of Holmes Junior College. He's from Carrollton, Georgia. He went to Georgia Tech at first, didn't like it, transferred to Holmes, finished up in 1 year. He's extremely bright. Comes here, he has 3 years to play three, and he will be an excellent corner for us. He's powerful. He can also play nickelback and very athletic. He's been working hard. We're excited about seeing Dante get out there and compete this spring. So I felt like those guys that we were looking for really fit needs. We also, we're beefing up our offensive line. That's where Kobe Purcell and Chance Lytle come in, and they're ready to practice this spring and go. So I'm very excited about those young men and the impact I believe they can make for us this year. I'll go back to the guys we signed today. Maurice Bell is a wide receiver that can fly. He's also an excellent kick returner. He played at Marietta Valley, has a lot of speed and athleticism. He's a long guy and excited about what he brings to the table. Again, has a great smile, great energy. Their team had an excellent year this year. Jacob Callier was the player of the year on defense, defensive player of the year at St. John Bosco for the league that has Servite and Modern Day and all that on it. I'll go back. Title Lytle was the offensive player of the year for that league also, which is one of the best league, arguably probably the best football league in California. They talk about all the time. Jacob is an excellent player that has a great pass rush ability. We look at him as an outside linebacker. When we go to our nickel, could be a rush end. Is built really well already as a high school senior. The unique thing about him is there are 5 brothers and 1 sister. All 5 brothers, and he's the baby of the 6, all 5 brothers played on scholarship college football. 2 of them played at San Jose State before I got there, but we talked stories about San Jose State when I was at the house, and so that's an amazing family there, and it's really neat to have those getting to know that family. Alex Fontenot is a running back, good size, good athleticism, returns kicks and all that. Also very powerful. We were looking for a running back that had a little bit of size and some speed. Alex is one of those guys. You might recognize the name Fontenot. His dad was the great player for the Chicago Bears, has his jersey retired at Baylor University, and kind of played on the heyday of the Bears. And so it was a lot of fun talking football with his dad at the house, and we're really excited about having Alex in the fold. The next guy is a linebacker, Nate Lamlin. He was the Northern Cal, the way I understand it, the Northern Cal Player of the Year on defense. Nate is long, athletic. He reminds me of Addison Gillum. That's what he reminds me of exactly. And so when Addison is completely healthy, Addison is a definite Pac-12 football player at upper echelon. And Nate reminds me of that on high school film, just like I saw Addison. I'm really excited about having Nate here. He's big. He's 6'3". He's 215 pounds, and he can run and hit. He can play inside and outside backer. Chris Miller is a cornerback from Denton, Texas, 5'11", 175. Chris is a guy that I think has some tools with our secondary, losing some guys, has the tools to be able to come in and play as a freshman. Chris has a 41-inch vertical, which is exceptional. And when I went and watched him play basketball, when I had the home visit, he's jumping up and swatting guys away that are 6'6", going in for dunks, and crowds going crazy. It looks like he jumps off a trampoline, has long arms, great ball skills, which is what you need in today's ability to cover the bigger wide receivers, and he is extremely fast. Chase Newman is a linebacker, 6'2", 210. Reminds me a lot of Ryan Moeller. That's what I picture him, kind of where Ryan Moeller plays, is our outside backer, safety area. That's what he did in high school, played at La Mirada. They won a state championship a year ago, got beat in the state finals this year. He has that athleticism to play that buff spot. And the best way for me to example is he reminds me of Ryan Moeller, which I think is an excellent player. He was all Pac-12 this year. And that's kind of the niche that I see Chase Newman playing. K.D. Nixon, wide receiver, dynamic from DeSoto High School. They won the state championship. Really fast, quick, athletic guy, can make play after play. Another guy kind of has that charisma, has that it factor, is just a great leader. In this recruiting class, you have some guys like that kind of spearhead things, and in today's Twitter and all the way they can contact each other, once they start committing, they started kind of getting a group together. And to me, KD was one of those guys that was a leader in that. Also, I would say Title Lytle was, and I would say Jonathan Van Dies were guys that really wanted to be at CU, wanted other guys here with them. And KD brings a lot of athletic ability, but also to me brings a great leadership quality. Sebastian Olver, a really unique young man, 6'5", 250. He plays everything. He's from Australia. He did not play football, American rules football, till 2 years ago. He can Australian rules punt. He can also play defensive end. He can play tight end. He can play outside linebacker. Just an excellent athlete. And when he gets here, we'll see what he plays. We'll start him off there, playing him at tight end and outside linebacker and kind of see which one he's the best at. And he loved his accent. His family, mom and dad, flew all the way over for the official visit from Australia. There's just special people, and it is a really unique story. I think Chris Malumba's story and his story are unique for people kind of fall into realizing they have the athletic ability to do it, getting in a niche, working at it, staying at it, families and everybody kind of sacrificing them being away from home to go reach a dream. It's a really special deal. Heston Page, local product from Highlands Ranch, comes from great blood stock. His dad went to UCLA, and we sharpened up Heston enough to realize how much better we were than UCLA, and just teasing with his dad. And his dad grew up in Colorado and went to UCLA. And Heston had opportunities to go out of state too, but he wanted to stay here. And we're so excited that he did, and playing here for us. And it's great to get Heston from Highlands Ranch. That whole area has so many players. And Heston's a great young man that we're excited about what he'll do for us on the offensive line. He already comes in here built well, great stature. The thing about Heston is he can kind of play every spot. He could play tackle, he could play guard, he could play center. So he gives you that flexibility. Grant Pauley, another young man from Denton High School, teammates with Chris Miller. Grant's a big offensive tackle that can really move well. Grant was another highly recruited guy, like almost all of our guys were. We're really excited about Grant and what he'll do. He's big and powerful. You'll see that he's built ready to play. He's not really a guy that you have to get the stature on him or get the age on him to be ready to roll. To me, he's kind of ready to go. We'll hopefully see what he can do right when he gets here. A lot of times, offensive line-wise, that's not always the case. But in his case, I believe he'll be ready to compete to play. Jared Pawlowski is a 6'4", 220-pound tight end from Scottsdale, Arizona, that we were recruiting extremely hard. Gary Bernardi did a great job on him, and he committed to ASU a long time ago, but he kept contacting us, and Gary kept talking to him, and one thing led to the other, and he wanted to play at the University of Colorado. We like where he can be an inline tight end in the backfield, flex him out. There's a lot of different things we can do with him, like we did with Sean Irwin and we do with George Frazier. He's a multiple guy, and that's what we were looking for. He's also a very good inline blocker. Very excited about having Jared as part of our football team. Casey Roddick's a big offensive lineman from Ventura, California, 6'4", 340, big, powerful young man. That there was a big recruiting battle in the Pac-12. He's from St. Bonaventure High School, the same school that Jace Frankie's from. Jace loves it here, and that had a big part to do with it. When you have somebody from a school and they love it here, and Jace is a guy that's played a lot of football for us, but hasn't been like a full-time starter. And sometimes when you have a kid that's not a full-time starter, when another kid asks them about it from school, well, they don't feel like they're getting treated right because they're not playing all the time. But Jace is a young man that we just talked and raved about what we were about and what our program's about, what our kids were about. And Jace is going to be a great player for us this year and has made a lot of plays for us in the past. But I thought that was a key ingredient on how much he saw, hearing from Jace, how much he loved it here and felt how he was treated as a player. And we're excited to have Casey here, big, powerful offensive guard. Jalen Sami is a young man from Colorado Springs, Vista Ridge. He's kind of late on the scene. He's a young man that was playing. He moved to Vista Ridge as a senior. He was kind of off the radar. Our recruiting staff, Brad Forsyth and those guys did a great job of finding him. And then we went down and watched him play, had him in, and just kept recruiting him. He's a perfect fit for a 3-4 defense. He's 6'6". Well, he's really 6'5 3/4. He's 338 pounds. I have it on my phone if you want to see it. He can dunk a basketball. He's very athletic. He's from the state of Colorado. We're so excited about having him. It was kind of funny. after he committed to us, that night, Ole Miss called him and tried to get him, and other people were calling because where did this kid come from? They pulled up his video and they said, oh my gosh. And so we're so excited about having him, and that was just a great job by our recruiting department, going through everything, keep looking. He was on nobody's radar. He doesn't have a star or anything like that, and I'm just excited about having Jalen here. When he came on his visit, he fit in with our kids, loved it, and he could play nose tackle. He could play defensive end for us. You know, he's going to be a kid that's another year from now, he's going to be 6'5 3/4", might be a little taller. He's going to be 345 to 50 pounds and be able to play with it. I mean, he's a man, and that's how you stop run defense. You have bigger X's than they do O's, or they have bigger O's than X's. You know, it's kind of how it works. LaVisca Chenault, we call him Visca. Big, strong athlete, very powerful. He reminds you of those big, huge receivers that you see, and that's what he is. He played at DeSoto High School with KD. They were wearing high school number 1 and number 2. They're on the front of their poster. They were the guys for him. He's a big athletic. He'll be an outside receiver for us that can make plays. And also the way we ask our receivers to block on all the bubbles and all that stuff, he'll be a phenomenal blocker on that also. He can go deep. He can run through you. Just really excited about Visca. Interesting story about him. His mom was a great basketball player, and we talked about that a lot on her home visit. It was a lot of fun. Will Sherman, 6'3", 295, plays tackle, guard, could play center. He can play all 3 sports. Very athletic. Will plays at a school in Texas called Allen High School. They have a little bitty rinky-dink stadium. Their stadium costs over $60 million to build. It holds 23,000 people. It's double-decked. They literally have 2 full-size weight rooms. Their one weight room is about the size of this. Their other weight room is twice the size of this, and that's not an exaggeration. Their football offices look like our football offices. I can't explain to you. It's high school football on steroids, and it's Friday night lights. They average 22,000 people a game, and he loves to play football. We're really excited about him. He's another young man that they kind of moved over to the country when they were younger, and it's another really interesting story about how football and school has helped him be able to reach dreams too. So really excited about Will, and he's another guy that I look forward to throwing into the mix and seeing what he can do early. Jonathan Van Diest, wow, 6'1", 235 from Cherry Creek. Watching him on high school film, being around him, being at camp, he's gonna kind of fall into my Philip Lindsay syndrome. He's going to be my next Tasmanian Devil, but he's going to be on defense. He has that motor. If you've watched him play in high school, that's what you see. We're going to play him at Mike linebacker. We worked him out at that at camps, and he did great at it. He played all over the place for Coach Dave Logan, who's a phenomenal coach. I would have done the same thing if I was Dave, because he just found places for him to make plays for him. But he'll be a Mike linebacker for us and be an excellent one. He loves the University of Colorado. You know, he was our first commit, and he took it and ran with it, and was kind of our bell cow to help recruit this class. And I'm so excited about having Jonathan here. Carson Wells, 6'4", 230, really athletic. He'll be a linebacker / tight end, H-back. We're going to look at him at linebacker first. He played outside. He played inside. I think he's powerful. He's an excellent athlete. He's a really good basketball player. Had a big dunk the other night he was telling me about. The cool thing about Carson's pretty cool is his dad raises cattle, beef cattle. So when I went to his house, he showed me a steer that he raised, and it's, you know, huge, and he'll sell it before he leaves to come to college to have some more spending money for college, but he named it Ralphie, and it's gorgeous. But the cool thing about him, I got video of it too, he goes in there and grabs those calves, those 400-pound calves, and just takes them and just flips them. And very powerful, strong young man, and it was a lot of fun spending time with him and his family. So that's our class there. I could talk on them for hours and hours, all the stories that go along, but I feel like we hit what we wanted to hit. Feel very good about where we are. and excited about what we've done. So I'll take any questions from there.
Mike, you guys had already put together a really solid class before Jacob Moretti committed to you. You mentioned a little bit about that phone call. Can you say when that was and just kind of how that all went about, kind of pulling him in once he decided?
I don't know the exact date, but it was sometime right before the dead period started. Really what happened is he called, said he was interested in talking to us about maybe coming here. So I said, well, you need to come over with your dad and your mom. So they came over. And honestly, this is what I told him. I don't want this to be some knee-jerk reaction. I don't want it to be an emotional decision. I want you to come to Colorado because you want to be here, you want to put both feet in the boat, and you want to, and we would love to have you. And there's Jake's one, he can tell you, and I said, don't tell me an answer right now. I want you to go home. I want you to think about it. I want to make sure you're not making some quick emotional decision off of seeing us win a one game. Okay, and a lot of people, well, why would you do that? Because I want young men that really, really believe in what we're doing, and he does. And because that's how you keep a program going. That's how you build it, and then that's how you keep it. Because they'll have both feet in here. Because not every day in college is great. They think every day is going to be happy. Well, they're not going to be happy every day. And if they understand they've made the commitment to be here and understand that we didn't trick them, we didn't try to do anything to get them here, we just told them what the real thing is, what it's all about, and believe and trust us, then he'll be successful. And so then he called me back the next day. He said, can I come back over and see you again? And he came back over, and they committed, and the rest is history. So to say the least, that next time I didn't send him back home. I said, all right, you're here. And so I was excited about that, and very happy to have a young man of his caliber, his character. We want to keep the guys that we feel like fit our program, that are the great players in the state of Colorado. We want them to be here to play, and he was one of the ones we had targeted for a long time, so we were excited about getting him.
Yeah, Coach, you as a recruiter have not changed, but how different was it just going into living rooms and houses, 10-4 and Pac-12 South champions? How many more doors did that maybe open?
I think, we had a really good class before we had the season, when you really think about it. What the season did is it solidified those guys. You always have a couple things that happen, but it solidified those guys. So then when people would come in, because they got bombarded, they would say, well, no, they did it, proof's in the pudding. And they could keep going. I think the other side of it is it did open a few other doors. We had to turn away some really good football players, which we really haven't had to do in the past. I mean, really good football players. So we had to understand that. And so, we've already got commitments for next year. We got kids that already want to commit. So we've got to make sure we're making the right choices on that. So it is definitely better. There's no doubt about it. But it also makes you make sure you're making the right decisions. You don't get caught in, as a coach, in the emotional side of it either. You're making the best decisions for your program and for what your needs are.
Your commitment list was kind of under siege this winter. When other programs are going after your commits, what are those conversations with those recruits like? And do you try to keep them from taking those other visits? How does that go?
Yeah, it's kind of different with each individual, to be honest with you, because each one of them has a different reason for it, or they're confused, or they want to sit down and talk to you about it, and then some kind of want to take a visit and see what it's like, and then they come back and say, we want to be with you. We want to be with you guys. So every one of them is really different, and you just keep recruiting them. You keep showing them how much you care about them, and then you go from there. So hopefully the trust you've built up and what they see, helps them be able to stay here and go. But if you try to, twist their arm or try to make them feel real guilty about it, that's not really the way you want to do business, I don't think. I think you want to do business the open way, and then they're making this statement to be here, and they know when you treat them like that when you're recruiting them, when you get them here, you're going to treat them the same way. I always say, be careful how you're treated, because you're going to get treated that same way when you go to that school. And so we try to always do it that way.
Coach, along those same lines, would you like to see an earlier
Yes,
signing date?
definitely, 100%.
And
no doubt.
just to hang on to those guys or solidify them, and when would you like to see it happen?
My personal opinion, I'd like to see it just like they do in basketball. I'd like to see one done in July before you start your season. I know a lot of high school coaches out there would like to see that too. There's a lot of logistics on that, but we have moved it. There's a vote that the coaches voted on that was the majority of them wanted to do one in December, which I think would be great. I think the whole speed, everything has sped up with the access of Huddle and video and all the other things that we're able to do. Kids used to, back in the Stone Age when I played, and really 10 years ago, kids would take an official visit, would really be an official visit. That'd be the first time they really came. That'd be the first time. Now the official visit's really the unofficial visit. And so it's totally sped up. So I think if you flip the counter a little bit and let you have some more official visits earlier somehow, I think it would be better. But, I think any way we can move it up some, I'm for, wherever they decide. Right now, we voted to put it December 15th, and I definitely hope, junior college signing date time, I definitely hope that goes through.
Was it easier or harder to hold on to guys this year with this class?
It depends on the night you call me. It seemed like it was happening a lot more. And as you recruit higher and higher caliber, quote, classes that they're saying, quote, because, realize we had 8 guys that nobody thought was very good playing senior bowl games this year that will also be playing a lot of them in the NFL. So it's all a little bit of perception. But overall, we had a lot more guys getting attacked. The other reason we did is people out there trust our evaluations now. They know we're evaluated, and they also know the kids we're recruiting will be eligible. And there's a big key to that. So I think that's also part of it. If Colorado's recruiting them, and we know they're going to be eligible because we have to be at our school has high credentials, that's a pretty good target to go at. And the other thing is most of our kids are from out of state, so the people that are near them, the advantage of a closer school, they think they got a chance. So I think that's why that happens also.
To kind of keep continuing on this dumb lanes.
Did you say hi to Curtis? You hadn't seen him in a while.
Just for brief.
Okay,
For like a second.
Good. All right, good.
The fact that you guys are able to close and hang on to those guys, is that even more? That's always right. You gotta sign that dotted line. But is that even more stressful now than, or does it carry more weight than even the commitment, the verbal commitment anymore?
Verbal. That's why they ought to sign. If they give that verbal commitment, they feel good about it. Everything's going, and they sign it. But then, you have grown men come in and tell them all kind of stuff, and so it's an interesting dynamic for a 17, 18-year-old young man that's trying to figure it all out. If you have teenagers, you know what that's like. Period. But I think I think it'll keep getting harder and harder for us because we'll have early commitments this year that are very good, and then you kind of get to that point where they say, well, take a visit. You haven't visited anywhere but Colorado. Is kind of what happens, but we feel good enough about our school. If a kid goes and takes a visit after that we will still be able to hold on to them, unless there's some crazy situation at a school where they lose some guys and the guy looks like he could walk in and start day one, no brainer. Sometimes you have situations like that happen, but I feel good about what we do here and when they come on our visit and see what we have to offer now. There's really not a school that has anything better to offer than we do. Everybody has kind of a niche, but when you encompass our whole thing now with the Pac-12, with the history of our school, with how we compete and where we're going to be ranked and where we're going to be going, and then you look at our facility, you look at the city, you look at the airport, you look at Denver, and then you look at the reputation that our school carries around the country, because one thing that's unique about Colorado is basically 45% of the kids at this school are from another state or another country. You don't really have that at any other state school. So there's a lot of connections out there and a lot of opportunities for them outside of here. So I think that makes it special. So you look at the whole package. I know I'm biased, but our whole package is pretty good now. It has risen to another level.
Coach, last year we saw the importance of leadership on your football team. You've
Thanks,
already
Jason.
mentioned Tyler and Jonathan as leaders in this class. Who else do you see as leaders in this class, and how much of a factor is that when you're recruiting these guys?
It's more of a factor than it's ever been in the past because of all the different gadgets you can use that I don't even know the names to all of them now, where they can communicate with everybody. So now that they can communicate so easily, and then everything's out there. As soon as you offer a kid, it's out there. As soon as he goes on a visit, it's out there. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be, you had to call the phone. Yeah, they pick it up in the kitchen, and you talk to everybody in the family before you found the kid, and then the dad would say, hey, I only got 5 minutes because I got to use the phone next. I mean, it's just a different world. So I think that has made it more important for these young men. They communicate so much differently than we did. And I think that that's a huge factor in recruiting now. Our guys had I guess, whatever they did, a Twitter page where they could all communicate with each other, and they could communicate all the time. Mass text, they would all talk, and that was interesting. And so it was kind of funny. I think one of the guys decommitted. They all blocked him. So it was kind of interesting. They were telling me. So it's just kind of the way it goes. So I think it is more important than it ever has been. Yes, if that answers your question.
With Laviska and KD, I mean, how rare is it to have two receivers from like an upper echelon program like that? I mean, was it one of those things where you couldn't decide on one of them, so you just decided to bring both in? I mean, they both had their merits, but it's like,
No,
it's pretty
they
crazy.
had 27 kids on their team signed today. 22 Division I. Okay, now different levels of Division I. And they were loaded, and they played great football, and they played in an unbelievable atmosphere and unbelievable program. I mean, their press box almost as nice as our press box. I mean, they just got, just phenomenal what they have there. And so we loved both of them and wanted them. And it just happened that they were good friends, and they'd like to come, and they really don't play. They're not the same type of receiver, so it won't be like they'll be competing against each other. I think they understand that too. And so I think that was part of it also. But it was good to have them both.
Coach Mack, when you win a division in the conference and you become nationally ranked top 10, how does that change your recruiting kind of metrics? That are you now in houses maybe you weren't in a couple years ago? Instead of talking necessarily opportunity, you're talking and trying to get athletes that maybe take you that next level to contend for a national championship. Have you seen it evolve these last 18 months or so?
Yeah, you do get in some different homes, but you still need to make sure you're looking at the whole person, not just the athlete. Boulder's a great place. It's a great school. And so you want young men that can be successful here. So you got to always understand that. But, yeah, we're definitely getting in other homes and being able to get in, you would say, more upper echelon type players at their age that are a little bit more prepared, you think, to be successful in college. But you still have to develop young men. You still realize when they come here they're 17 or 18 years old. So there's still a lot of growing pains that go along with it.
Quarterback competitions are always something that are of great interest to college football fans. As you guys get ready, spring coming up here soon, is it kind of everybody, all the 3 scholarship guys you talked about, have a chance at that job?
Yeah, they do. They do. And in all spring, all of our players do. There's some guys that, had played on our team. If you look at our team, there's guys that played a lot as a freshman, and all of a sudden they didn't play. The other guys beat them out. Different things happen. Devin Ross is an example. He played as a freshman, and we redshirted him as a sophomore. And then all of a sudden he gets better than that. So there's every position is open, and the quarterback's always the one talked about. But we'll be able to get a lot of reps, and we'll let all those guys compete for sure. Stephen, of course, has a little bit of a leg up. But what I'm hoping is all 3 of those guys compete, and you have to make a hard decision. If that's the case, that's where you want to be. You want to have 3 really good ones, and because you never know what happens. And so there would be definitely an open competition, so to speak, in that part of it.
And just to follow up on that, how much did it help last year being able to show kids how you had to have 2 quarterbacks? Because you recruit quarterbacks, so many of them want to play.
Right.
It's good to be able to say, listen, we're going to need more than one.
Yeah, it always is that way. Ours was definitely out there, and both guys played well when they played, and so they definitely see that and understand that. So I think it definitely helps the guy who maybe doesn't end up getting the starting role, and the guy that's backing up that might be the third teamer. They got to be ready. at all times, and so we'll prepare them like that, and I think they'll be ready to prepare like that.
Coach, you lose your defensive coordinator, but you bring in someone that was running essentially the same scheme. How important was that continuity in keeping those defensive recruits?
It was important in keeping them. You know, when we recruit, I'm tied into all those kids, and I talked to them a lot. But it definitely was important understanding that we were going to run the same scheme, do the same thing. It's also important for our players on our team to know I'm not going to make a wholesale change. I always have my hands in defense, offense, and special teams. I think to run a program correctly, you don't just change for every coordinator. You keep your systems that you want. I wanted to run a 3-4 system, so when I was looking for people to hire, when I hired Jim, I wanted someone that knew the 3-4 system. He knew it from Vic Fangio there at San Francisco. I ran it, and I didn't run it, but I coached in it with Bill Parcells at the Dallas Cowboys, with Eric Mangini at the Jets, who was a Bill Belichick disciple. So that's what I wanted to go to after I got here and saw that we could be able to do that. So we recruited to that. We've built to it. So we're going to keep that same system. There's a little bit of a family out there in that system in college football, and DJ's in that family. Matter of fact, DJ, Jim, Mike Stoops, I can name some others. They got together in the last 2 summers and talked and went over ideas, and so it's an exact same system. So that was very important for me, and I wanted somebody that had called it and had been in a program that they had to build it from the bottom up and didn't always have the same players that they were playing against, but they were able to be somewhat successful, and I think that's extremely important.
Mike, you guys obviously added more Texas kids this year than you have in the past.
Yes.
You talk about that philosophy, and is that something that came from Shiverini when he got here, or is that something you guys were planning to do anyway?
We wanted to get in Texas, but we weren't really having a lot of success. And then Darren came, and Darren, from being at Texas Tech, had made some inroads there. So he had some connections. And then we decided to put 5 guys in the state of Texas instead of 3, and kind of narrow down some other areas because we felt like that would be a hotbed for us. And sure enough, it worked out well. And a lot of that was Darren talking that and suggesting it and wanting to do that. So that was a big part of it, yes.
Coach, before the bowl game, you talked about the undercurrent of recruiting.
Yeah.
What would you say in terms of importance, without putting too much pressure on maybe this upcoming season, just the idea of stacking success so that you keep that undercurrent, I guess, moving in the right direction?
Yeah, of course, you always want to build on it. You want to keep going in the right direction. Yeah, what I mean by the undercurrent is, you can't stop someone in a school or someone at a restaurant or an uncle or an aunt or a brother or a cousin saying, hey, I'm thinking about going to Colorado. And they go, man, they stink. You don't want to go there when you're thinking about doing that. But then you say it another time, you go, I'm thinking about going, man, you ought to go. Did you see that game last night? I mean, I'd love to come watch you play there. It's a whole different world. I can't control that. Now, as we won, that starts controlling it. And they know that we have a good program here now, and we're proud of it. And there's a lot of people out there seeing it. And as we win again next year, and the next year, and the next year, they'll see that, and it'll just keep building on itself, and we'll be able to keep our program going in the right direction. And our league, last year we were Pac-12 South champs, and then we didn't win the Pac-12 championship. That's what we want to do. We want to win the Pac-12 championship. So that's what we're shooting for this year. Our league's a tough league, and we'd like to win 10, 11 games every year. There might be years we win 7 or 8 or 9, but then we're going to just keep going. I don't see us ever going backwards again. I see us being able to stay up there and keep competing and be a team that goes to bowls year in, year out and competes for championships year in, year out, and does that, and that's what we plan on doing.
Mike, 4 years ago with that first class that you brought to Colorado with Cheeto and Kenneth and Addison and those guys, you had to play a lot of them as true freshmen and sophomores. Is it nice to have the luxury of being able to develop some of these young guys and not have to throw them into the fire right away?
Yeah, it is. It is a luxury to be able to develop guys, and we were able to really do that a lot last year and the other years. So I feel good about our team we have coming up, and that's always good to do. Yeah, I thought the first year I actually thought Ryan Severs' mom and dad might be turn me in for child abuse. I made him return so many kickoffs. And you had to throw some of those young men in there. They were excited about playing, but wow, their eyes were open to really excellent football team. And of course, our league's so tough. And now I definitely believe we'll be able to redshirt some of these guys. Some of these guys will be ready to play, and we'll play them. I want to play the best players, period. But I think we have that luxury to be able to do that some and be able to compete at a high level still.
Hey, Coach, your footprint has been expanding in the last few years as far as recruiting goes.
Uh-huh.
How do you go into a place like Ventura, California, and convince a kid to come to Boulder?
You go in there and tell them all about it, and the main thing is you get them here. Somehow, some way, they got to get here and see Boulder. When they do, they realize it's not 8 foot of snow on the ground like all the other recruiters tell them all the time. And there's actually a lot of fun things to do, and it's absolutely spectacularly beautiful. I think the fun thing about recruiting the kids from Texas is when they get here, they can't stop talking about the mountains. They can't, because they don't see, you can see forever in Texas, and a water tower is what they see. That's the best thing so I think when they see that, it blows them away, and the beauty of it. So the key is to get them here. And every school says that, but you get them here, it's just different than a lot of places. This is spectacular. And then when they see the gorgeous sun and they go, golly, a lot of times they go, what degrees do you think it is? Oh, man, it's got to be 65 degrees. I said, no, it's 45. They're taking their jackets off, and they don't understand, how the sun works here. It's pretty, I didn't either when they were telling me to come from San Jose. That I said, yeah, right. And but it is true. It's a spectacular place.
Coach, I'm just curious, from a coaching perspective, what is your favorite part about this whole process in signing day?
Today it's done. No, I tell you what it is. It's the stories. It's the young men you find. It's getting to know the parents. It's getting to know their dreams and ambitions. And that helps you when you get them to help motivate them and help push them. And, I tell them all the time, and they kind of look at me sideways. But when you think about it, in your lives, I hope a lot of y'all are living your dream, and you're kind of living what you always wanted to do this. And a lot of times it's not that fun. But you have to realize this is what I've always wanted to do. Keep doing it. The grind, the work, the part of it is really what makes it special. So when I get them here and they're getting up for early morning workouts or doing this, and I can kind of see that look, and I go, hey, this is what you've always dreamed about doing. This is what you've always wanted to do. You're doing it. Now keep doing it. And I think as you get to know them, you can, hey, remember when I talked to you about this? Remember when I was in your house? Remember? And it rekindles that fire, because we all have those times when your fire kind of starts to dim a little bit. And you got to find a way as a leader that cares about them to help them rekindle that fire. And I think getting to know their parents and talking to them and getting to know the whole thing of it. I can't tell you how many moms today say, Coach, I'm trusting my boy to you. I'm trusting my boy to you. That's a lot of responsibility, and I enjoy that responsibility. And that's kind of how I see myself. And I'm trusting that mom's handing me a young boy, expecting me to hand back a man. And that's what I hope to be able to do.
Coach, Kevin George is a guy you haven't really talked about under the radar. What do you like out of him?
You're right. I should have gone back to Kevin. Kevin George, thank you. Good job. Kevin George is a DB, long, athletic. He'll remind you of a Kello Witherspoon. Okay, and he is from Georgia Military College, a junior college, where one of my really good friends is the head coach. We were GAs together at Georgia. Golly, I can't believe it was that long ago, back in 1990 and 91. That's a long time ago. And he's been the head coach there, and Bert Williams does a great job. And I talk to him every year. I go, hey, you got a guy, we're talking. He goes, yeah, I've got this guy, I got that guy. And he goes, but I got a freshman that's come on really strong, and he's a qualifier, and he is athletic, and he's from Lafayette, Louisiana, and he had a bunch of small college offers, but all of a sudden he's gotten better and bigger. I said, sounds like a Kello Witherspoon to me. So sent coaches down there to watch him. We liked him. We got him up here. I watched a bunch of tape on him, and just fell in love with the kid, and he ended up signing with us, and he's going to be a really good player. He's a guy I believe that can help us this fall, so I'm excited about getting Kevin George. So to me, And he's also a very physical player, which I was really impressed about. And they play a lot of good teams in that junior college league there. And so I'm excited about getting Kevin George. So to me, he's like when you see him out there, he'll kind of look like a Kello Witherspoon to you, physical stature.
Any other questions for Coach? All right, we're going to bring up, we got two of our early enrollees, Jake Moretti and Tyler Lytle, that we're going to bring up to the stage, and you guys can go through some questions
Okay.
with those two right now.
All right, thank you.
We have another chair. When you guys have answered, kind of just make sure you talk. Sorry.
How's it going?
Everybody all squared away? We'll just go straight to questions, so just raise your hand.
Tyler, Coach said you were a guy who helped kind of spearhead recruiting other guys because you just really felt strongly about this place, loved this place. What is it about Colorado that made you not only want to come here, but to really help to work and get other guys here as well?
I just saw a really great opportunity. It was one of those things I committed back in June, I believe. Before Colorado had all that success, and I really believed in it then. So when they got off to a great start, it really came to fruition. The guys that I was talking to over summer before the season started really, believed I was saying, and I was just reiterating what Coach Lindgren, Coach Shev, and Coach Mack sold me on. So I really think when Colorado started having success, that people really bought in, and I think that's why we carried so much momentum. But even before the season, I think a bunch of guys really believed in what they were telling us, and I think that's what got us up to a great start and an even stronger finish.
Jake, Coach was talking about how when you reached out and then you talked to him to give you time to kind of sleep on the decision. Can you just take us through those hours? I mean, it's always difficult to decommit, but what is it about CU ultimately that led you in this direction?
Kind of like you said, it's a difficult decision, but it's hard to pinpoint one thing about CU. Like Coach Mack is saying, it's just in the end, it's like a really great overall school, and it was hard to pass up on an opportunity like this. So,
Tyler, since you did commit early, can you talk about just what it was like for you to watch the class come together and just see you start adding some better talent as you're watching the season go along, but then also as you're watching them continue to do what they said they were going to do on the field?
Yes. So, I think it was just really social media is a great thing. Just being active on that, sending tweets out to recruits, the edits that we had made. I think that just all really helped. Recruiting is a really public thing nowadays, with all the edits and shout outs and everything else that comes along with it. And it's all in good fun, but at the end of the day, guys, I'll encourage guys, this is what makes CU great. This is what, I really bought into. At the end of the day, you have to make the best decision for you, but I'm telling you why this was the best decision for me. And a lot of guys agreed with me.
And this question is for Jake. I actually have two. First off, what is it about Colorado that made you want to stay home? And second, what are your expectations for next season?
In terms of like my decision to stay home, I mean, you get to play in front of family and friends. I grew up here, and it's been cool watching Colorado turn around. And in terms of the expectations for next year, obviously we want to win, so we're just going to go out there and take it day by day and see what we can put out there. So.
Hey Jacob, you were about ready to go to a school that they're always in the conversation for national championships. What was there a moment when something changed your mind about this team when you said, wow, this team could be in that position, and I want to go there and help them be in that position?
Absolutely. I mean, like I kind of said, like it wasn't just like one moment. It was kind of like a build up over time, and I'm really happy with where I ended up. So.
Jake, I've talked to your trainer, Matt McChesney, a lot, and he's very, very high on you. What's your relationship like with Matt?
He's a great dude. I worked with him from I think around my sophomore year, and he's been a huge part of my development. So.
Any more questions for the guys? They'll stick around for one-on-one as well.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome.